Hi there, welcome back. So in today's video we're going to use this mould. It's an unusual shaped tray mould, this stunning butterfly mould, and this mould here. Now this is a snail and it's quite a big snail. So we're going to see what we can do with regards to decorating its shell and so on. Going to use these beautiful dried pressed flowers. They're miniature ones. They're from Resin. Some of the mica powders and some of these faux flowers, which we just picked up from a local craft store or interiors place. So look at these. These are the beautiful mica powders that we're going to start off by using in the butterfly mould. Now the butterfly mould does have a matte finish. It's one that can be used for baking or chocolate making or crafting, but obviously if you're going to use it for one, don't use it for the other. So first off, this is Wayne doing the demo. He is decided he's going to try and almost paint the mica powders onto the mould, and he's doing that by just squirting it with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, as you just saw there. Just give it a bit of spray, and then dipping a very fine paintbrush, a little like artist brush, into the mica powder and then dusting it into the sections of the mould, the detailed parts that he wants in that particular colour. Now bits of this video, I should explain, have been sped up because, you know, I mean, you take your time doing these things, all these little intricate bits of detail work and so on, and if we didn't speed them up then you'd be here for an hour. And this video is already long enough at 21 minutes and 21 seconds. There we go. So we thought, you know, we do need to just speed up sections of it. If you've got any questions about how this technique is done, then why not pop it in the comments box or direct message us, lottiejasminedesigns@gmail.com, and we will respond. You can also look back on our playlist and you'll be able to see lots of videos there showing you a bit more information and other demonstrations on where we've applied mica powders to moulds, chrome powders to moulds, glitter to moulds, and so on. So why not have a look through and have a watch. If you are one of our subscribers, welcome back. Nice to see you. Hope you're enjoying the video or videos. We've done a few shorts videos this week as well. Or currently, there's a few there to view. We had the opportunity of being able to pick some products from Resin, so we showcased their UV kit, so UV resin kit, ideal for making jewellery, key rings, and many more things. So those are also on the shorts. So if you've got a limited amount of time, I think there's about 4 2.5-minute videos just showing you different things that we did with the kit. So going back to this one. As you can see, Wayne has now, I think he's on his 4th colour. Beautiful deep purple. So one side of this mould is a traditional, what you'd expect to see a butterfly looking like. And the other side, just the epitome of summer. So flowers. So there's a lot of flower detail in the wing, or the wing, this particular side of the mould. So you don't have to do what we're doing. This is only to give you a bit of inspiration of what it is possible to do. So obviously Wayne's decided to use a variety of colours. You could just do it all one colour. You could have it completely different if you've got a different colour theme. You could have cream and gold, white and gold, just pure gold, silver. You could also do the snail in exactly the same format and way. All depends on the aesthetic that you have in your home. Or if you're giving this as a gift, if you know that person has specific favourite colours, then do it in that. So in order to make these colours really pop, it's a good idea to fill the mould with resin that is a colour, a solid opaque colour. Some people might say use black, some people might say use white. It depends on the effect you want, but obviously you need to be careful because whatever resin you fill up on this side, the detailed flower side of the mould, is going to flow into the other side as well. So there you are, you just got a quick up close view of what Wayne's done so far. Now he's tackling the other side and he's doing it in exactly the same way as he did the flower side. So he's using black now Same brush, obviously he does wipe it and clean it in between each colour, different colour he uses. And he's just doing the body part. Now, you can see he's got a little bit of spillage there with the mica powder. That happens. All you do is you can get a bit of kitchen towel and a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and just wipe up that area if you want to, or you can just continue on. It depends on how dark it's gone. But he's using some different colours again now. I think this is one of the red shades. So many beautiful colours of mica powder in that collection that we showed you very briefly at the beginning. So some beautiful red tones there, some beautiful pink tones as well. I do love that pinky colours that he's used so far in the flowers, and they go really well with the red. So just apply some more spritzes of isopropyl alcohol and then filling it in with some beautiful blue. Now, would you call that cobalt blue, Moroccan blue, Mediterranean blue? Lots of different blue. Blue, of course, being my favourite colour. I mean, this looks beautiful. It's being quite daring here with his colour combinations as well. So if you had, say, a black tray or a black bowl and you wanted to just give it a little something extra, you could make this butterfly and you could make it in some real zingy, zingy sort of colours like Wayne's using here, particularly this yellow, real bright, vivid canary yellow and demould it and then bend the wings slightly, just slightly, so it gives it a bit more of a 3D look. So it looks like the wings are actually in, it's using it in flight. And then secure it to the bowl or the tray or a picture frame. Obviously use the right kind of glue to do that. And it'll look stunning, absolutely stunning. It will also just give it that extra pop of colour. Right, so he's made up some ordinary epoxy resin, 1:1 mixing ratio, and he's added in some of the black pigment made by Vista. He's poured some of it in and then he's taken a micro brush. So again, I've said this time and time before, micro brushes, excellent tool. You really should have these in your little collection of tools and tool accessories and things. So he's just using that to persuade the resin down into all the intricate detailed parts of the mould, and also he'll go round the edge of the mould to make sure that there are no little air bubbles getting trapped. So moving on, now this is the snail mould. Now it's quite big, and Wayne selected some of these lovely faux flowers. They're just made from fabric, I think. They're not plastic, but you could by all means use a plastic, obviously one that's not going to melt, because resin does get hot as it's curing. He didn't do a test on any of these either to see whether or not the colours would bleed. So, I think he was quite lucky. If you're at all concerned, do a little tester with one first, see what happens. Put a little bit of resin on one of the petals, let it cure, and then just see what it's like when it's cured. So, right, let's just catch up a bit here. He's poured some of the clear resin into the bottom of this shell. Then he's got one of the flowers, dipped it in the resin, and then he's going to place it, or try and place it as best as he can, where he wants it to be in the shell or part of the snail mould. Now, the reason for dipping it in the resin is to try and discourage any little air bubbles from sticking to these flowers. So we have seen this technique done by somebody else when they've been trying to put faux flowers and dried flowers into moulds, and it seems to work quite well. So rather than having lots of tiny micro bubbles caught within the detail of the folds of the petals and things, that doesn't happen, because this part of this shell is going to be clear, crystal clear. So then he continued to do that with the other flowers that he decided to put in. Now, these are the dried pressed miniature flowers and little bits of green foliage that came as part of a UV resin kit by Let's Resin. Again, I mentioned that we have done 4 short videos, 2.5 minutes in length each, and it showcases this particular kit that these flowers come from. Now, the idea originally was to try and put a tiny bit of the clear resin on that part of the tray, and then place those, possibly all of those lovely little miniature flowers and bits of foliage just onto the top. let it cure, and then work on the rest of the tray. It did and it didn't happen. You can see Wayne there carefully placing all these lovely little miniature flowers and things, but all the while the resin is just moving and going down the side, and he's losing the flowers, and he's trying to move the resin back, and yeah. So what we should have done in hindsight is we should have filled the edges of the tray first, let that cure, then do this bit that he's doing now. Yeah, hindsight's a great thing. Should we try and do this again in the future? Then yeah, we would do what I've said we'd do, rather than do it this way. But then I'm not sure that we would actually place the flowers down like this anyway. We'd possibly do it another way entirely. So make the tray as a whole piece in the colour that you want, in the way that you want, demold it, then place the flowers down on the inside of the demoulded tray, if you follow me, and then put a very thin, clear layer of resin over the top of them, and do it that way instead, rather than trying to do this way. But Wayne persevered, bless him, kept going, trying to get it to work, thought he'd got what he wanted where he wanted it to, and spritzed it with some isopropyl alcohol, and then left it to cure. There we are. You see the resin will just keep moving till it's cured. Now, after this section, so this is the snail mould with the flowers in it that he wanted in it. He'd left it for about 4 or 5 hours at this point, so it almost completely cured. It was solid enough for him to then fill up the rest of the snail mould. And he's chosen to use an alcohol ink. Now this is a black alcohol ink, or I think he said it was supposed to be a dark brown, to colour the rest of the resin. And he's just filling it up. So this is the body of the snail, not the shell, and this is his head as well. And he's just doing his best to make sure that all the little bits are filled, so that there are no little air pockets or bubbles getting stuck anywhere. So just continue to fill this up. Now again, hindsight's a great thing. This does cure very dark. And perhaps, again, if we were going to do this in future, we would add some white pigment paste to that resin. It will make it more opaque, but it will also bring the colour tone down just a little bit. Just a little bit. But again, it depends on what aesthetic you're going for, doesn't it? I imagine I've seen some of these done, in fact, using flowers where it's all completely clear, and I've also seen them done with shells and sand and lovely blue themes and so on. So back to the tray. So this had had about 4 hours. He's now got some clear resin again on the bottom right of your corner of your screen, and he's added some beautiful gel, almost like it looks like a gel, but it's not, pigment paste to the resin. This pigment paste is by it's from Helena at Resin Detra Supplies. Beautiful colour. It gives like a glass-like effect finish. Now that's great, but it actually needs to be a lot more opaque, because can you see that? Or it's not very green at all. And really the idea is that you give it a green grass sort of effect. Now Wayne has also decided that he's going to use the rest of this sort of brownie coloured resin, and it's supposed to reflect the earth and grass and flowers. Now, I get where he was coming from. I understand the idea, but it wasn't hitting the mark. That green is definitely nowhere near green enough. It needs to be opaque and not clear. But he continued on, bless him. He soldiered on like you do. And poured the rest of the resin in, spritzed it with some isopropyl alcohol, and just left it to cure. There we go, just going in around the edges with a stir stick, just to make sure that there's no little bubbles hiding just under the lip of that edge of that mould. There we go. There we are, and then just going around it. There we are with the micro brush. So if you have joined us today, Thank you for joining. If you're watching in the premiere, maybe you've joined us in the live chat. Hope you're enjoying the video. Let us know if you've used these molds before yourself. What sort of design did you do? Were you happy with the result? Is there anything you do differently? You know, just let us know. Let's have a discussion about the results that you've had using this kind of mold and the products and so on. So just carefully going around with it, loosening the mould away from your project, away from Mr Snail. I'm just carefully doing it because not used this mould before. So look at that. Did you see that then? Look at the difference in colour. Yes, the body is dark, but actually with the colour flower that we saw there in the shell, I think it works. So here we go. Carefully up around the head part where his little antennae are with his eyes. Look at that. I mean, that was beautiful. Now the tray definitely didn't work. Definitely not. This tray mould, a little bit tricky trying to demold it, which is a bit unusual. It's from a company called Mould, and they also make fantastic resin and also mica powders, I believe, and pigments. So why not check them out? As I've said before, everything will be available in the description box with links to where you can purchase them. So here he goes, almost done. So it's got a clear outer edge, and here we go. There's the snail on it. It doesn't work. It could be better. Sometimes that's very difficult to hear when you've made this beautiful creature or item, but it wasn't quite working. This is the beautiful butterfly. Apologies, no demold video of the butterfly. This is where at the beginning of the video where he applied all the mica powders and the using isopropyl alcohol as well to it. Now it is a matte mold, this is. So what Wayne is doing now is he's just trying to make it shiny and glossy, and he's done that by putting some UV resin on it and using a silicone tip tool just to spread it evenly over the piece itself, the butterfly. Popped it under the UV lamp for about 3 minutes to cure, and then he's doing the other side. Now you can see this butterfly isn't flat, and that's because when he demolded it, he pushed the wings together because he wanted it to have an effect of being like it's in flight rather than being flat. So that was, I believe I talked about that, I think, at the beginning of the video as well. So just carefully spreading it all over that part, using up a little bit that spilled on his mat there. Must buy some new silicone mats, looking at these. And then just under the UV light again for another 3 minutes, just to cure it up. So, Mr Snail, surprise, having a bit of bling applied, just a little bit. And Wayne's doing that by using the beautiful gold chrome effect pens from Deco Colour. And yeah, just a little bit of an edge just all around the base of the snail's body, and that was the only place that he put gold. Now I must admit, if this had been me doing this, I probably would have tried to put some on the shell, you know, on the lines that go round inside the shell maybe, or on the tips of the eyes. But this was Wayne's project, so he has decorated it in the way that he wants to. There we go. Well, maybe a little bit of influence from me, perhaps, because of the gold, but there we go. You know me, you know what we're like here. So he's done that, left it to dry. Now, in order to get so that the tray is a lot greener, he has turned it upside down, and on the underside of the tray, he's just going to brush on some green acrylic paint. And he's just using a regular artist's paintbrush to do that. Obviously, we have sped this bit up because he took a while to do this. Now this, once it's completely dry, you can then, it will give the effect of being much darker green. You'll see what we mean. There we go. So haven't lost the detail of those lovely little flowers. Once this is completely dried, you can then put on some felt, some self-adhesive felt on the underside of it, or some cork, or just leave it completely dry. Totally up to you. If you're going to do that, then do put over a layer of varnish on it, spray varnish or paint on clear varnish, just to protect that paint so it doesn't chip, and so on. There we go. So he's almost done there with that colour. Now Wayne wasn't completely happy with that colour, so he does go on to apply another colour of acrylic paint, more of a bluish green. which you can see here now in this clip. This is more of a bluish green. Again, he waited for the other colour green paint to dry completely before he then painted this one, and this is it painted now. So there you go. So yes, the dark side on the right there is still darker, but the other side is much, much more green. More of the aesthetic he was going for. So here we are in the final shot. We have lost a little bit of detail of the miniature flowers, but look at the snail. That looks almost real on the body, doesn't it? But the beautiful flowers coming through in the detail of the shell there. Really, really stunning. I'd love to see these done with lots of little seashells. And at the other end of the tray, we have the butterfly. We did lose some detail of the miniature flowers, but that's absolutely okay. Lovely sea of green there. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and we will see you again in a couple of days' time. Take care, everyone.